Welcome back to the Metal Exchange. Justin and Chris here with you for another week. How you doing, bud?
Good. I'm looking forward to talking about this album. I think you might be surprised at what I have to say.
I'm curious because it's not the greatest of circumstances under which we're talking about it. And again, I kind of mentioned it at the end of our episode last week that it's kind of a tribute to the late drummer of the band who passed away, Tor Peterson, who passed away in a car accident not terribly long ago, about a week or so ago. So I thought it would be a nice tribute to him. And I just think it's a very, very interesting band and an interesting album for a number of reasons, which obviously we'll get into. But before we get there, lots of positive feedback from our two most recent interviews with John Macaluso and Olaf Thorsen. A lot of people had reached out and we got some messages on our Reddit page, on our Facebook page, and some private messages as well. I was blown away by the positive feedback. Some people would just seem to be really, really into the interviews. So we'll continue to try to get some of these conversations, if you will, in the future, because like I said, if that's what people want to hear, we can obviously do this every Monday, but we'll try to pump out that bonus material as well.
Absolutely. It's as much as I enjoy doing these episodes, the conversations that we've had with some of these folks really just it makes all the effort and all the time just worth every second. So just another thanks to Olaf Thorsen for joining us a couple of days ago. I thought once we actually got his microphone working, it was a very wonderful conversation, and I thought he was very generous with his time, and it was just very cool. And we've gotten some a lot of good feedback about the John Macaluso interview as well. I mean, he just really commands a room, doesn't he?
He can tell a story. There's no question about it. And I personally got quite the kick out of him and Olaf basically telling the same story about one another. I thought that was absolutely hysterical. So kudos to both of them. Thanks again for joining us. It's funny. I look at this list and we have this growing list of requests, and obviously we're doing one of them next week. And as I look to the list, I'm starting to think we're getting a little bit behind, but I want them to keep coming. I want the social media interactions to keep coming because it obviously helps. We enjoy it, and obviously shows us, kind of where everyone's head is at that's listening out there. And there are quite a few of you at this point. So thank you to all of you. One other thing, and I think it's worth mentioning, if there is something else you want to hear or other directions you want us to take it in, we are certainly open to suggestions. So definitely keep that stuff coming. And obviously we want to hear from everybody because we know you're out there. So leave us a positive review. I'll just say that up front because it helps other people find the show. And, with that, I want to ask you the question that I kind of always lead with. What did you listen to this week? And did anything kind of jump out at you, or was there anything new that you heard?
No, not really. I listened to the new Battle Beast album again today, which I enjoyed quite a bit. I got to listen to this Moron Police album I think 5 times. Dawn of Solace dropped their Flames of Perdition album, which I know you spoke highly of. That dropped today. Haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, but I'm looking forward to that. And the ever consistent Amorphous released a new single today, On the Dark Waters, and that's going to be on their upcoming Halo album, which we're all looking forward to, I think. So, but yeah, I think that laundry list of bands and albums and singles from last week pretty much probably should cover us for the rest of the month.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. I'll tell you something funny about the Amorphous single, which was fantastic, by the way. I mean, the model of consistency, right? In conjunction with the release of this single, a Finnish watch company called Pook Watches, that's P-O-O-K Watches, are actually releasing a limited edition Amorphous watch, which I thought was really, really interesting. I will not say I'm a watch collector, although I wish I was. I enjoy a lot of these smaller watch companies that have come out over the last 15 or 20 years. I've bought a couple here and there, and there's just something about kind of supporting these micro manufacturers that I enjoy. But I was shocked to find out that they were actually having a quote amorphous on the dark waters watch that's available for purchase. So if you're into watches or you're into amorphous, I encourage you to go to pookwatches.com and check it out at the very least. I thought it was a really interesting concept, and it's kind of got this like dark yellow slash, it's more like a brownish face that's kind of brighter in the middle and then kind of gets darker as you go out from there. It's just a really kind of cool concept. So very, very commendable. I don't know that I'm going to be getting it, but at the same time, it was nice to see.
That's a very cool collectible item. I think I'm just going to take an old Amorphous album cover and just put it on my Apple Watch face and call it a day.
It's the luxury of having the Apple Watch.
Speaking of collector's items, I kind of forgot. I figured I'd throw this in there, but Power Quest is re-releasing their first album, Wings of Forever, on vinyl. I think it's going to be released either February or March, but there's only a limited number. So if you want to grab one, I would get on that. Really, really quick.
It seems to be selling well. The band was saying that like they're really kind of like pushing a lot of these out, which is great.
Yeah. There's a your classic black vinyl, but there's also this really cool marble colored vinyl, which is the one that I pre-ordered. I just thought it was really cool looking, and compared to like what Savatage has been charging for their vinyl re-releases, I think that this is a lot more reasonably priced. It's a little pricey, the shipping part of it, just because it's shipping a vinyl record from overseas, but I couldn't resist. So if that's something that interests you, head on over to power-quest.co.uk and head over to the shop and grab yours, because actually the vinyl, the marble one's already sold out. Believe it or not,
really?
I'm looking at the site now, but there's still a black vinyl available. They're only making 150 copies. I don't know if that's 75 each or 150 each, but yeah, that's it's going to be a pretty rare item. And being that I wasn't a fan of the band yet when the album was initially released, this is kind of be my way of getting a pre-order of Wings of Forever for the first time. So
nice.
I love this kind of stuff.
I know it'll be on display. I know where you keep your records, so I know what's going to be on display the second this comes in from overseas.
Yeah, it's exciting. I love stuff like this. It's just it's neat. But yeah, unfortunately, that marble one's already sold out. Just super cool looking. So, but it's still time to grab that black vinyl. So,
nice.
Go for it.
A couple of new songs that I heard, of one album and one song that I heard this week. I think they're both kind of worth mentioning. One of my favorite up-and-coming bands, and I guess at this point they have a bunch of albums under their name, but the last two albums in particular, by a band called Defecto, a Danish metal quartet, which has been just releasing some of my favorite material of the last bunch of years. They came out with a new single called Ball of Hatred, and when I hear new Defecto, I immediately get excited, so I had to check this out. Very, very good tune. Very heavy. A little more progressive, I would say, than the last album for a band that's not really a progressive band, but they have some progressive tendencies. And a lot of the material sounds different from other stuff you've heard, but definitely will be posting that during the week. And another band, which I was not familiar with at all, but a band that has a number of albums under their discography. And that's a band called Dust in Mind. They're a French band. With a female singer, kind of industrial sounding, but, still in that I guess, I don't want to say female fronted genre because I think that doesn't really describe much of anything, but we'll just call it like industrial sound with a really cool female singer on top of it. And their new album is called CTRL. And I thought the whole album was really good. There's one song in particular, Synapses, which I thought was just really, really good. The single had come out last year. The album may have even come out last year as well. But I was just really impressed by this album. I guess I missed it last year. I don't know if it would have made the top 50 or anything like that, but it was just something that I recently kind of stumbled upon, and I thought it was worth mentioning. You might like it. I don't think you've heard of these guys, but I think there's enough hooks there that I think you might be into it as well. So I'll try to post that this week as well.
Well, you know me, I'm a classic hooker.
Yeah, there you go.
If I wanted you hooked, you'd be hooked.
I've heard that. So we'll definitely get that out there. But to the reason why we are here, a Norwegian band, a Norwegian prog rock / prog metal / we'll get to all the different genres they're going to cover because this album in about 33 minutes covers a lot. This album, A Boat on the Sea, came out in 2019. It was released August 16th of 2019. It's basically 4 guys that are in the band. Sondre, the singer, Lars, who does the keyboards and the Hammond and the grand piano and some of the percussion as well. Again, Tor Peterson, who has recently passed, on drums, and Christian Steen on bass, with some other hired guns that play all sorts of instruments, which I'm sure we'll be getting to momentarily. This album, I remember it when it came out in 2019. I had never heard of them, and I was shocked at all the different stuff that was just thrown onto this 8-song album. And much to my surprise, there was actually a bonus track, which I heard for the first time earlier today. I'll talk about that at the end. When did you first hear of these guys? Was it when I had probably sent you one of their songs or something like that? Or were they on your radar before I had sent them to you?
I don't think I had heard of them. My iTunes says that I added this album on January 3rd, 2020. And that was the first Moron Police album that I had purchased. So not much longer than you, I guess. But yeah, I think you had recommended this so highly that or maybe it was on your best of 2019 list, and I just said, oh, if it's on your list, then I should just listen to the whole album. And so this was something that I thought was fascinating from the first time that I heard it. So yeah, I'm somewhat of a new fan. I guess that their first album came out in 2012, so they have been around for 10 years now.
Yeah, this was definitely on my best of list that year. I think it was in the top 25, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking at the list now. It's somewhere around 20 or 25. The word I would use to describe this was refreshing. Refreshing, and another word would be uplifting. It is prog. There is no question about it. I mean, it is all over the place in terms of style, in terms of vocal approach. I mean, literally all over the place, and we'll get into it. But at the same time, it's so tight and so cohesive and just so uplifting that it was refreshing to hear prog sound like this. It's almost hard to describe what it is that you're hearing when you listen to this. So nonetheless, might as well just dive right into it because I can't think of any other way to do it justice other than I heard it for the first time in 2019. I've been playing it since then. And then I went back and checked out the older stuff, which is good as well. But this album, I really think that they kind of hit their stride. And obviously the new EP, which I had mentioned a couple of months ago, is very good as well. I hope that the band continues in the absence of Mr. Peterson, but at the same time, he's going to have to. It's going to be tough shoes to fill because he's quite impressive keeping this whole project kind of cohesive with him, drumming in the background. The album. Before we even get into the songs, I want to make a mention about the cover art because that's not something we talk about a lot usually on this podcast.
Much
But
to Mike's chagrin.
yeah, I know. Apparently, that's one of the recommendations we had. Talk about the cover art. Well, I'm going to do it this week, Mike. So thank you. A Boat on the Sea has one of the best covers I've ever seen for any album. It is, simply put, beautiful. It's vibrant colors, almost cartoony, and it's just like a whole ecosystem on an album cover. And obviously there's a boat on the sea and all this other stuff filled with a bunch of Easter eggs that pertain to the album on the cover. And it's, if you haven't seen it, it is obviously worth seeing. I dug a little bit deeper to find out who did this and what, where the inspiration came for the album art. And I found out that it was basically made by an artist named Dulk. And I obviously had no idea who that was, but his name is Antonio Donat, and he's basically a Valencian artist. And he's got quite a array of pieces like this to his collection, and he's really kind of making a name for himself in the urban art and mural painting world, and I just love his stuff. His website alone is worth checking out just to see the different pieces of art that this guy has had. I sent you a link earlier today just because I knew I was going to mention this guy and his artwork, but really fascinating stuff. I think you'd agree.
Yeah. This is one of those covers where if you bought it on CD, it wouldn't be doing it justice. Like, speaking of vinyl, like this is the kind of album you want to own on vinyl, just because of that cover art should be displayed as largely as possible, because it's so colorful and there's so much going on. It almost kind of has like a Tim Burton-esque kind of vibe to it. It's just super cool. Like, this is something that I would buy a poster of, and just hang it on the wall. It's just very, very cool. I'm glad that you decided to shine a spotlight on it, because it's definitely deserving. And looking back on their previous, album covers and the EP that followed this album, it's obviously they take a lot of care in their cover art, which is a great thing, I think.
Yeah, and I think in the world of what we see with a lot of other artists where, they're obviously appealing to the metal side and all that other stuff, this was just really refreshing and something different. And I'm happy that they were supporting this, I guess we'll say up and coming artist who seems to have gotten over pretty big at this point, but definitely worth mentioning. Just from the looks of it, it was enough of an album cover where it was intriguing to me, because I wanted to hear what this band was, because I remember seeing the album art and being like, what is this? This is definitely something unique. And the album certainly is. It opens with a song called Hocus Pocus, and very different from some of the other Hocus Pocus songs we may have heard in the past by some other bands. But I'm just curious. Exactly. And that Halloween cover still resonates with me to this day. Thanks. Shout out to Brian, who I'm sure is not listening, but that's okay. Tell me, when you hear this first track, and it's really an intro of sorts, I don't want to call it a short song, but it's 1 minute and 20 seconds. What are your initial reactions to this? Because it's just so different.
Yeah, it kind of, it's I don't think it's like a good how do I want to put this, I don't think it really prepares you for what's to come. It's short, it's very very mellow, like just kind of eases you into things, because the first full length track is like this, that's where all the wacky, chaotic prog stuff comes in. And who says prog can't be fun? Because this band is out to show you that, yes, it can be. And I saw this great short quote on Bandcamp, and it just says, "It's weird, but in a good way." And I can't think of a better way to describe this whole proceeding. This album is just, I enjoyed this so much. I wish prog music was like this all the time, because to me it's so, even though it has all that kind of quirkiness to it, I find it to be so accessible, where prog can be such a struggle for me at times. This was so easy to just digest for me. I love I think that the first full length track, The Phantom Below, it just comes in and it's just like, this is pretty much what you're getting with this band, this track like this. It's just a wonderful, it reminds me there's parts of the more fun side of Haken I hear in this. The vocals remind me a lot of Damian Wilson at a lot of points. It reminds me of somebody else, which I'll mention when we get to the song. But like most of the time, it's kind of like this Damian Wilson-esque with a little bit of Ross Jennings sprinkled in. But it's just, I don't know how. I guess, like you said before, it's kind of hard to explain. But it's just like this kind of like jazzy, proggy, fun. Like it's not that kind of like meandering, droning on. Like these are like the longest track is just under 7 minutes, and most of the songs are between 3 minutes and 4.5. So they're just nice and in and out. Like this is lovely. Like when I found out that they came out with an EP after this, I was so excited to get a hold of it. And I think that going forward, I'm just, hopefully if they release more material, this will be a band that I just will be excited about whenever there's new material. I love this track, The Phantom Below. I'm listening to it right now, and it just puts me in such a good mood. It's just you say something now.
With all these bands that kind of have that orchestral introductory track, and it just leads into the rest of the album. This was refreshing. There's vocals in this introductory track. The production is just crystal clear, and it just kind of wets the palate, but at the same time, you have no idea where this is going because it takes a turn, and I love it. And as you mentioned with The Phantom Below, I heard Haken here. The beginning section before the vocals kick in has like techno elements to it, which I thought was really, really cool with these atmospheric keyboards in the background. They use brass, which is like Scream's Thank You Scientist or Reign of Kindo, which I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. There's disco on this track that I can hear. And the verses just show off the singer's versatility so much, but with those choruses that have the hooks that we talked about. I want to be hooked. I got hooked by this. I mean, it was just really, really good. And then you look at the track listing and you say to yourself, how is it The Phantom Below is 4 minutes and 12 seconds? It feels like 2 minutes, but they cram about 15 minutes worth of material in there. And somehow it doesn't get old. And I gotta be honest with you, it's not even close to being my favorite track on the album, but yet it's really, really good. And who doesn't love like a soprano sax solo towards the end? I mean, it's just like so quirky and so much fun. Great stuff. Just like really, really good stuff. And like I said, probably not one of my top 5 albums or 5 songs on this relatively short release, but it's a perfect introductory track. Or like a first full length track on the album. I think it's great for what it is.
Yeah, and it could have been like a 9 or 10 minute song if they wanted to drag it out, and they didn't have to. Like I kind of like the succinctness of most of these tracks. It's just kind of like, why repeat the same thing over and over again in a slightly different way when we can just get the point across and wham bam, thank you ma'am, see you later, and on to the next song. I mean, when you had mentioned that we were gonna review this album this week, I don't know what, I guess I just didn't remember how short it was. Like it was such a easy listen. Earlier today I had to go get fingerprints taken because for a background check that I'm getting done for something with work, and I had to drive about 20 minutes away from the house, and I put this album on, and by the time I got home I had to put something else on before I even got to the driveway. So like it was a perfect jump in the car and run errands kind of album. You listen to the whole thing, knock it out.
But it's nice. Like sometimes you put on some of these CDs, and don't get me wrong, I love some of these longer albums, but you put on something that's 62 minutes long and it's like it takes you a couple of listens to get through it, only because you really don't have the time to sit there and listen to stuff for an hour. This one you can kind of get through, and even though it's 33 minutes, it feels like 10 minutes. I mean, it really goes by very, very fast. The next track is called The Invisible King. If I had to choose the worst track on the album, this would be it. It's just not my favorite. But that being said, it's a cool song. It kind of starts with this very radio-friendly vocal intro before it kind of slows down. There's a spoken word interlude, which is not my favorite, but then again, the lyrics on the whole are very introspective. Good chorus, phenomenal bridge. And one of the heavier songs on the album, there's a riff that kind of permeates this entire song. I am a fan of the riff. A good song, but probably my least favorite on the album. I would be very curious to see how you kind of like this one.
The beginning, the vocals at the beginning reminded me of Volbeat. Like it had kind of that Volbeat kind of like that kind of twangy, almost country-ish vocals. Like my girlfriend asked me if I was listening to country music when this song came on the other day. Yeah, I'm with you. There's songs I like more than this one for sure. But it's I like it. I think it's kind of I don't like it as much as the previous song, but yeah, I think it's still a pretty good song. I'm not if I'm just going to be honest, there aren't any songs I disliked on this.
Oh, so. Yeah, I agree. To me, this is like this to me was like the start of a slow build towards the second half of the album. Again, not that I disliked it. I feel like it goes right into Beware the Blue Skies, which I really, really enjoyed. And this track had some stuff going on, which was just like shocking to me. It's the same pace as the prior song, but the way that the vocals are employed, I hear Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, it's like bananas. I couldn't believe the way he uses the vocals to kind of just quickly get through the verses. And then again, it just continues to build and build and build. It doesn't really have a chorus. It just kind of, it's just like this ever flowing song that has these small instrumental breaks throughout it. And it makes me kind of want to dance, which is like, it's not something I ever want to do, but this makes me want to get up and move. And the vocals kind of go up and down the ladder like an Yngwie arpeggio, which is like really weird to describe it because it's so, I mean, not something you would ever describe vocals, but that's how it is with the vocals kind of going up and down the ladder. Really, really tight. Yeah, well, there you go. Really, really, really tight drumming. And this, really made me kind of sentimental in a way. And it almost reminded me of the way that Mark Zonder, who used to play on all those classic Fates Warning albums, played his drums with that very, very just tight, succinct hitting of the notes. And then it was like on to the next one. And then when you think you've heard it all, it has this like interlude towards the end, which is like calypso. I mean, like, what is going on here? But it's just, other than the harmonica solo on this song, it's just amazing. Like, I can't really describe it other than it was such a nice contrast to the prior song, but it just blends into one another.
I think that was very well said. I love any song that just starts out with keyboards going on, like with this nice, like, brisk pace. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything I could say that you didn't already say. I like this song a lot. It's just, I agree with you about the whole, like, wanting to make you get up and dance. Like, this is one of those albums where you just find yourself, like, with your leg bouncing up and down. I mean, I have restless leg syndrome, so my leg bounces up and down when I'm listening to Leprous. But, I mean, it's still, like, even if you don't have restless leg syndrome, you're going to think that you do if you listen to this album.
For me, the next track, which is the shortest of the full-length tracks, the Dog Song, really is kind of the start of the second half of the album. This one's a fun one, and obviously, shout out to your two dogs, the mascots for the podcast. This is a shout out to them. This song is very, very popish. Like, I can almost hear it on the radio, except this would never in a million years be on the radio. A beautiful chorus, amazing acoustic guitar, almost has a bit of a folk feel, like almost like Prague Elevati, which is like a band we covered not so long ago. weird. But I love this song. And the one thing I can say is I just couldn't take the smile off of my face every time I heard this particular track.
Yeah, I like this song a lot too. It definitely has a very whimsical, folksy kind of jam to it. I wonder if Knops would agree. This sounds like, I don't know. This sounds like something that our friend Matt, who we went to college with, this reminds me of something he would really dig. But I'm sure he'll let me know when he listens to the episode. But yeah, it's my hopes were high because it was called the Dog Song, but it lived up to the hype.
A dog it was not. Fantastic song. I'm going to let you do the honors and get to Captain Awkward, which is to me one of not only is it my favorite title, just because I love Captain Awkward may as well have been written about me. But short of that, what are your thoughts on this one? Because I know you thoroughly enjoy this one.
I was like, so they've met Mike. They wrote a song about him. Just kidding, Mike. This was the song that grabbed my attention the most the first time I heard the band, and it remains my favorite. It's going to be my track of the week. It starts out like with this unassuming kind of like, little like keyboard kind of ditty, and then like the hilarity ensues and just the music just kicks in, and it's like this roller coaster ride of just, this is one of the most fun prog songs I've ever heard. There's just something about it, the way that the way that he goes through the vocals so quickly. Like, I don't even know what the hell he's saying.
Some of the words are made up. I'm going to be honest with you. There are made up words in here, and I don't care because it's that good. He's rapping during these vocals. So we've got calypso, we've got techno, we've got rap, we've got jazz. I mean, we've got folk. There is not a genre that they haven't checked off. They're about 22 minutes into this disc. It's bananas. But yeah, it's, tell me this isn't like one of the best choruses you've ever heard.
Well, this is like tell me you're from Norway without telling me you're from Norway, because they're going to the movies and the mountain in the same trip. So clearly the movie theater is built into the side of a mountain somewhere outside of Oslo.
This is like such an epic tune, even though it's not a long song. It's like the most epic 5-minute song that you can kind of get into. And in my opinion, if I was going to see them live, and I hope that one day I do, this is the song they should close their concerts with. And it could have yes, it's on the list, believe me. There's this beautiful quirkiness here that I love. Acoustic guitars, which are fantastic. And it's just one of those things that when I played it with headphones earlier today, it really popped. Like, I mean, it was better than I knew the song well, but it was even better than I remembered it when I put the headphones on. The only reason I'm not picking it as my song of the week is because I had a strong feeling you might. I'm going with the next track, The Undersea. This to me is a third gem in a row. It's an upbeat rock track. The verses are very, very prog rock. has that Haken feel again to it, but the chorus is just so good. It's one of those things where like a lot of dark music that I listen to is just that. It's dark, it's depressing. I mean, they call certain genres funeral doom metal for a reason. This is the complete opposite of that, right? This a gorgeous piano solo, but not, no disrespect. This is not like Jordan Rudess where he's just like going off on the thing. There's no wankery here. It's all well placed. The drums during the bridge almost like get you ready for that big build towards the end, that big final chorus. A really, really short but uplifting tune. I absolutely love this one. I'd be curious to see if you have the same opinion.
Well, if this is the opposite of funeral doom metal, then this is like wedding happy prog metal, because this is like, it's like almost like like celebratory music. It's just I like this song a lot too. This is another kind of quick one, like the dog song. It's only under 3.5 minutes, but they just, man, there's just so much talent here, and I it's very impressive to me. And like you said, like it's the sonically, it's just so clear, and it's produced and mixed so well. I'm just very, very impressed by this. This is a real joy to listen to.
But before we get to the final track, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this album was mixed by a gentleman by the name of Mike Watts. He is apparently from, or he worked, or he did the mix at Voodoo Studios in Port Jefferson, Long Island, New York, which is like 35 minutes or 45 minutes from my place. And then it just begs the question, why was this Norwegian band having the album mixed on Long Island? I'm not really sure, but the guy did a phenomenal job. And like, I'm not familiar with the studios. I'm not a recording artist, but at the same time, of all the places that you could get an album mixed and mastered, they picked a place not far from here, which I just thought was really, really interesting. But they just knocked it out of the park. And like, it's just, it was refreshing to hear. And to your point, like, it's this is marriage prog, I guess. It's just it's whimsical, it's happy, it's got everything, but the lyrics are very, very introspective, and that would continue on the last track. Isn't it easy? This is like the most epic track, I guess, on the album, insofar as it clocks in at almost 7 minutes. But this one is not only just the longest track, but you say to yourself, well, how are they going to end this album? They do a very nice job here. It starts with this percussion intro, a very, very heavy riff that marries both the guitars and the keyboards, and this is where I hear Leprous. To me, this is like Leprous to a T. Whereas the verses are much, much softer. The intro and like the some of the choruses are actually kind of heavy. This is a good piece of music, and it just flies by, even though it's only 7 minutes. And for the first time that I heard, there's actually like layered vocals during some of the choruses, which are awesome. And the Kenny G type sax solo again, which is just like, love me some soprano sax. I don't know how else to say it. This is just like really, really good stuff. And it makes me wonder, like, I know for a fact that this band kind of hit it with this album, and even though they're really still underground, I remember reading reviews in Prog Magazine, and they were like all over this. They just couldn't believe that this had come out in 2019. The future is so bright. I hope that they continue, if for no other reason than I have little doubt that that's what Tor would have wanted. But I just hope that they continue, because I think that they could absolutely crush it on their next release if they just take their time and do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm no prog aficionado, but I feel like I've not heard a band that's like this. There's definitely lots of different influences that are kind of married together, but there is a very kind of unique flavor that I get from this, and so yeah, I really do hope that there's going to be more. I really need to go back. I think I only got to listen to the EP once or twice. I need to go back and listen to some more of that. And out of curiosity, I had to look up this whole Mike Watts situation, and apparently this guy is been producing like alt rock and prog rock and prog metal albums since 2002, including the Dillinger Escape Plan and the Deer Hunter. So
one of my favorites. I had no idea. It's just, and listen, I'll be honest. I hear a lot of the Deer Hunter in some of this stuff, so that doesn't surprise me. They're a Boston-based. I don't even want to call them prog rock, although they certainly are. It's almost like an indie rock type of thing that they have going on up there. They have some really great albums. I'd actually like to cover one of their albums because I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on them. And when the time is right, maybe I'll add it to my list. But yeah, it's just interesting to me that, like, I don't know, that they hooked up with this guy out in Port Jeff. It was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need your mixing guy to be right there near you. I mean, if you can get the job done from wherever you are, and you hire the best person for the job, and he clearly did a hell of a job with this album. Really good stuff. So you did mention the bonus track, which
Cult of Tuna. I want to be clear about that.
I didn't know about this song until the EP came out in November of last year, and I was looking through all their stuff that's on iTunes, just kind of making sure that I had all of it. And sure enough, I see the single for a song called Cult of Tuna. And, I'm looking, I do a little research, and it turns out that it was, I guess they added it as a bonus track on later releases of this album. What are your thoughts on Cult of Tuna?
Okay, this was, like I said, I literally heard this for the first time today. Here's what I'm going to say, and never in my life did I ever think that these words would come out of my mouth. This is the Reign of Kindo meets Steel Panther. I'm not kidding you. I think I mentioned, the Reign of Kindo is easily one of my favorite bands in the world. They are top 3. I've seen them live countless times. I love them. The song is Reign of Kindo. The lyrics are Steel Panther, like through and through. I can't believe that they recorded this song. This sounds nothing like the rest of the album, but what a cool bonus track. I am so happy that I stumbled upon it today. Well,
let's not forget this is a band that had a track called "Teabag Your Grandma" on their previous album.
That's true. You're right. I should know. I guess that was kind of a prelude to what this would be. All I'm going to say is, if you haven't heard the song, look it up and look up the lyrics, and I'll let you have at it. You can draw your own conclusions. But I think it's a really cool track. Yeah,
it's actually, like, lyrics aside, it's actually a very beautiful song. It's the lyrics are just kind of ridiculous, but I think it kind of fits the album. Like, it doesn't feel out of place, oddly enough. It feels like it actually is a nice way to kind of cap off the album. And it kind of gives it just a little bit more length to it. Because the album was fairly short to begin with. So tack on an extra 4 minutes of Moron Police. Hell, you could just add the whole new EP to the end of it, and you'll have one, probably 60-minute full-length Moron Police experience.
I like it. And I'm curious to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving this as our resident power metal fan?
Yeah, this one is this is an 8.25 for me. It's just I wish it was a little bit longer, but it's perfect for what it is. It's just this. You know what? Let me just read what somebody else said. Somebody who a little bit more worldly than I am, but this is very proggy, yet reminds you of sunshine and all that's good in the world. When compared to the darker overtones of most of their contemporaries, it's catchy, melodic, and stays with you long after you listen. So, I mean, I that pretty much says it all right there. It's catchy, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you happy. And in the last 2 years, this is kind of the stuff that we all could use, just to shine a little sunshine in an ever cloudy world.
I like it, and that's very well said. To me, it's an 8. I long for more after I hear it. Insofar as, like I said, it's about 33 minutes. I could have used maybe probably another 2 or 3 tracks at the end of this thing just to kind of beef it up a little bit. But I love it. It's an album that I continue to play even going back to 2019. So I definitely enjoy it. And it's one of those things that continues to get better for me. It's not something I get tired of. I want to go back and listen to it because I enjoy it that much. And I got to be honest with you, the one word I would use here, and it's not a word that I would use often, especially for prog, but
tuna.
This is just tuna. And the second word would be fun. And that's what this is. This is a fun album. It's just a really enjoyable listen. And here's hoping that we can get some more from them in the future.
Absolutely. I really need, I know I grabbed their first 2 albums, but I need to actually go back and listen to Omnivorous Sexosaurus, Whorehouse, Charlie's Enormous Mouth, Grand Theft Bovine, and Steve Jobs is Dead, but I'm not.
I'm not even going to say anything else. I think that puts a nice bow on.
And how did I miss this? This is the best one of all. Stomp That Goomba.
There you have it. Moron Police, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening. A bunch of news items this week. And unfortunately, it's like you turn around and I know they say things happen in threes. Unfortunately, it seems like it's happening a lot more than that. Unfortunately, another passing. Frederick Johansson, rhythm guitarist for Dark Tranquillity during many of their, that early run of theirs where they had released so many classic albums in a row, going from their promo in 1994 up through Projector in 1999. Unfortunately, has passed away after a long bout with cancer. So obviously, our condolences to the Dark Tranquillity fans, the family, and obviously everyone associated with Mr. Johansson. Just obviously those early Dark Tranquillity albums were fantastic, and he will be missed for sure. And in a little bit of lighter news, Jeff Waters, the main man behind Annihilator, who had kind of assumed vocal duties after some time in the band, obviously just, he was their main guitar player. Then their vocalist is actually stepping down as singer. And Stu Block, formerly of Into Eternity, and I'll just say it, formerly of Iced Earth, is now singing for Annihilator, which is kind of cool. And some new albums that are coming out. Megadeth is finally, and I do mean finally, coming out with their new album. It's going to be their 16th studio album, The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. It's scheduled to arrive this summer. I look forward to hearing that. Even though I've been let down by much of the new Megadeth material, I have a haunting suspicion that this one is going to be quite good. And finally, Arch Enemy has announced their new album, Deceivers. I have a new single coming out next week. It's called Handshake with Hell. I'm sure that's going to be another uplifting and fun track. And then ultimately their album Deceivers will be out on July 29th. So we look forward to that. Thoughts on Deceivers from Hell? Or Handshakes from Hell? I'm sorry.
No, I know that they've released a few singles over the last few months, but in all honesty, I just haven't gotten a chance to listen to them. I've never been a huge Arch Enemy fan, although they do have a couple of songs that just really grab me. I guess, to be honest with you, not to go on a tangent, but when I first heard Elisa sing with the Agonist, I really enjoyed that she used both growls and clean vocals, and I was kind of disappointed. I know Arch Enemy has always been an all growl kind of band, but I was kind of disappointed because I think she has such a great great clean vocals. It kind of stinks not getting to hear that anymore, so maybe I'll just hope that Camelot has her come back and do some some backing vocals when they go live, because that was kind of a cool thing that she went on tour with Camelot and did the the female death vocals and the female clean vocals as their backing vocals because she could do both. And so yeah,
why hire two when you can have one do the whole thing?
Yeah,
right?
there you go. So there's my little arch enemy / agonist / Camelot tangent.
There you go. It was
how have we not done a Camelot album? By the way, can you believe that?
I can because
77 episodes.
I've been waiting for you to select one, and because it was just too easy. Like it was, I knew I every time you pick an album, I expect it to be the Fourth Legacy, and it's not that.
Good. So I'm gonna pick Dominion.
There you go. Maybe we can find the first vocalist and have him come on with us. But no, next week it is request week. It is the first week of February, and we have gotten multiple requests for this band, different albums, but we are going to choose one of them next week, and we're going back to 2001. We are going to do the debut Albener from Falcon. No, the debut album from Falconer, their self-titled release. I remember vividly when this came out. I was in college, and I remember hearing the first track, Upon the Grave of Guilt, for the first time. And I won't say anything else, but I remember hearing this for the first time, and I think it is a really good request because it is a band that is often overlooked, but there's, by myself included, I want to be clear, like I've kind of overlooked some of their material, but this album I happen to know quite well, and I look forward to going back and listening to it again.
Yeah, this is such a funny band for me because I really liked their first album and their last two albums, and I didn't really listen to anything in the middle.
Same.
There's some songs I love from chapters of From a Veil Forlorn, like Enter the Glade and The Clarion Call, and Catch the Shadows and Tower of the Queen from the Northwind album, and Man of the Hour, which was on the Among Beggars and Thieves album, is probably my favorite Falconer song ever. But like, I don't know the rest of the albums. It's just these songs that I kind of listen to in preparation of seeing them live for the first and last time. It was just this first album and those last two albums are really the only ones I ever got into start to finish. So I think this is a band that definitely deserves discussion, and I know our friend Justin Westmoreland had asked us a long time ago to talk about this band. So and amongst others. So let's talk about them.
Looking forward to it. I can't believe it's been over 20 years since this album came out, and I guess not only am I showing my age, but like when you just have vivid memories of hearing something for the first time and then looking back and realize it was more than 2 decades, it's a bit sobering. But I digress. Look forward to covering it in long form next week, and then it'll be your turn to pick something. Keep the requests coming. As I said earlier, I have a laundry list. We will get to all of them. And like I said, we may just start sprinkling in some others here and there just to catch up with some of these. But keep them coming. We look forward to it. And we will catch you in February with some Falconer.
Yep. And then the week after, we will talk about Camelot's Dominion album from 1996.
Spoiler. Enjoy the week, bud. I will talk to you sooner rather than later.
All right. See, look at what a great mood I'm in because I spent all week listening to Moron Police. So
there you go.
It works.
I love it. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.